Chapter 2. Black Diamond, Black Mind. The cage at Lofthouse Colliery dropped into the earth like a stone down a well, rattling the teeth of the men packed inside. George Haigh pressed his shoulder against the cold iron, his breath coming in shallow, ragged bursts. Around him the other miners smelled of stale tobacco and the wet, heavy scent of woolen vests that never truly dried. "Right then, George," a voice shouted over the screech of the cable. It was old Ted, a man whose lungs sounded like a shovel scraping on gritstone. "Thou looks like thou's seen a boggart." George didn't answer. He couldn't. His mind was occupied with the thrum. Since the fall, the day his skull had cracked against the stone and changed the shape of his world, the earth didn't sound like earth anymore. It sounded like a giant, slow-beating heart. Thump, thump, thump. "Mind this end today, lad," Ted grunted, sensing the vacancy in George's eyes. "Coal's stubborn in the deep seams. Don't go provoking it." The cage hit the bottom with a jar that sent a spike of white-hot pain through the old fracture in George's temple. He stepped out into the black dark, the safety lamp swinging at his hip, casting long, sickly yellow shadows against the tunnel walls. He made his way to his stall, the air growing thick and heavy-like as he moved away from the main shaft. Here, the silence of the pit wasn't silent at all. It was a chorus of whispers. "They're in the seams, George," the voices hissed, mixing with the drip of mineral-heavy water. "They're waiting for it to slip." George swung his pick. Clack. The coal was hard, a wall of compressed night. "Shut their mouth," George muttered, his voice a dry rasp. "What's that, George?" called a hurrier passing by, a lad no older than 12, straining against a heavy tub of slack. "Naught for thee, brat," George snapped, his mouth twitching under his grizzled moustache. "Get the tub moved before I give thee a taste of the strap." The lad scurried off, terrified by the wildness in George's eyes. George went back to the wall. Every strike of the pick felt like it was hitting his own forehead. Clack, clack. He paused, wiping a mixture of sweat and coal dust from his brow. His hands were shaking. He felt right capped, confused by the very air he breathed. The paranoia settled over him like a damp blanket. He began to imagine that the men at the pit head were talking about him, whispering that he was soft in the head, that he wasn't fit to earn his bread. "They want their place, George," the voices whispered from the Black Diamond. "They want to put thee in the workhouse. They want to take Mary and the lasses." "They'll touch naught of mine," he growled. He looked at his hands. In the dim light of the lamp, they looked like claws. He thought of the kitchen back at Cambridge Street. He thought of Mary's quiet, judging eyes. She knew. She knew the madness was rising in him like the black damp in an unventilated drift. By the time the shift ended and the men were hauled back to the surface, the sun was sinking behind the Morley chimneys. But for George, it remained dark. He walked home through the slush, his clogs heavy on the cobbles. He didn't go straight to the house. He turned toward the tap room of the Cross Keys. Just a drop, he told himself, to drown the thump-thump of the earth. But as he pushed open the heavy oak door, he felt the stone in his head shift. He wasn't just George Haigh, the miner, anymore. He was something fractured, something that was beginning to believe that the only way to save his family from them was to make sure them had nothing left to take. He ordered a pot of ale, his fingers drumming a frantic, uneven beat on the scarred wood of the bar. "Them voices," he whispered into the foam. "They're getting louder, Mary. They're getting right loud."